everyone, and welcome to another season of Survive and Thrive. This is a podcast by DW Akademie where we explore the challenges and breakthroughs in public interest journalism. I am your host, Iman Henrique Luvanga, and this season we're diving deep into what it really means to not just survive in the world increasingly hostile to press freedom, but to thrive. Around the globe, media organizations are facing intense political pressure, funding shortfalls, legal crackdowns, and erosion of public trust. And yet, amid these storms, some are finding ways to stand firm and even grow stronger. In our season opener, we bring to you a story of resistance. We are heading to Georgia, a country that once promised press freedom, but where the media landscape has darkened in recent years, especially with the introduction of controversial foreign agent law. Our guest today is Tamar, Executive Director of the Media Development Foundation, and this year's recipient of DW Freedom of Speech Award. Her organization has become a beacon of resistance, fighting disinformation, pushing back against authoritarian drift, and refusing to be silenced. So Tamar joins us to talk about what it takes to stay true to public interest journalism in hostile times and how media managers can lead with both courage and strategies. Tamar, first of all, congratulations on the DW Freedom of Speech Award. And what does this recognition mean to you and to your team at MDF?
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be a award winner for W Akademie Award this year. Deutsche Welle is made for minds, and the work we are doing is to keep media ecosystem healthy and to protect it from hostile actors and disinformation. It's recognition of our work, and it encourages us to continue what we are doing for a long time, especially today when we are facing existential threats. Civil society organizations, media outlets, all democratic institutions are experiencing pressure stemming from repressive legislation in our country.
Tell us more about Media Development Association and what it does.
Media Development Foundation was created in 2008 by professional journalists in order to support professional development of media. We started fact-checking later to address challenges coming from spread of disinformation, whether it's foreign or domestic, and study hate speech because this is not only the freedom of expression issue, but security issue because hostile actors are trying to create clashes between people depending on their ethnicity, religious belief, gender identity, and it might turn it into conflicts. So we continue with media literacy work, and we started working with Deutsche Welle Akademie on programs that is tailored not only for journalists and media, but for media consumers. Today, any citizen could create the media content, and it's important to understand that everyone is responsible for spreading myths or disinformation. So we have the big number of alumni who are now engaged in citizens journalism and spread this information. And we, in this way, we try to have more resilient society and realize the responsibility of each individual in this process.
Georgia's media ecosystem now has experienced a substantial erosion of press freedom. How do media outlets react to this, and maybe which strategies do you see?
This time is very critical for Georgian media and civil society. Over last year, our government developed 16 repressive laws. Among them are legislative pieces that specifically target the media outlets. One is restriction of foreign funding for broadcast media. The second, and you already mentioned this foreign agent law, making compulsory to register as a foreign spy if you receive funding from other countries. And usually Western countries are supporting democratic initiatives in order to help Georgia to become member of EU and strengthen our democratic institutions. That's why we need to be part of European family. Actually, this is specifically tailored law to undermine trust in our operation because media needs trust. And if you are labeled as foreign spies serving different countries, this undermines your credibility. And it is unacceptable for us. That's why the key media organizations and civil society organizations filed complaint to use legal mechanism in European Human Rights Court in order to defend our rights. Just 2 days ago, government started enforcement this legislation, initially against watchdog organizations, Transparency International, Georgia Open Society. They illegally requested personal data of beneficiaries, which is actually another problem because people trust in our activities and revealing this data undermines their activities as well. So media tries to find different ways to survive. Some of them register organization abroad, but transferring money is also a problem. And now the crowdfunding and different sources of income are considered for survival in this difficult situation. But the main issue is how to preserve watchdogs on the ground, because for democracy, we need independent functioning institutions. And for authoritarian leaders, democracy is a threat. That's why they are fighting with their own people, with their own institutions, rather than foreign countries who are invading our territory, and they are focused more on destroying democratic functioning institutions rather than ensuring security for all citizens.
The foreign agent law has created a chilling atmosphere, right? So why did MDF decided not to register, and what has that decision mean for your organization and your personal life?
Because we truly believe that we serve Georgian people rather than foreign countries, and we care about our credibility. When we receive funding from Deutsche Welle Akademie, it's for the Georgian youth to be more resilient towards foreign information manipulation and domestic information rather than for the German government. We're using financial support to make Georgia a better country rather than to serve interests of different people. Our goal is to inform Georgian citizens, because in democracy, you need right information to make right decision. This is driver of democracy. That's why we are obstacles for government who tries to manipulate public opinion using the different propaganda methods, trolls factory, and public servants, even public servants who should serve Georgian citizens during the working hours. They are engaged in propaganda against journalists, media outlets, opposition, and civil society actors, trying to present us as enemies of the country. It reminds me the Stalinist time when people were announced as enemy, the critical voices in our society, many well-known writers, poets, they were imprisoned because they were the threat for Soviet regimes. So creating this toxic environment, marginalizing the watchdog organization, it's dangerous for society and it makes our work very difficult.
To you personally, when the government targets you, not just as a journalist, but as a citizen, even a parent, how do you cope and where do you draw your strength from?
Actually, I'm trying to be transparent about this threat and to show that we are not afraid of them. Transparency is the best thing you can do against repressive government and to be open. I was receiving threats over last years by emails, phone calls. They came near our offices, vandalized our office. They were calling my family members. But I was talking about this online. We showed the video camera of the strangers, masked strangers, who came in midnight to put the posters with text that we are pseudo-liberal fascists and there is no place for us to stay in this country. And the social media helped us to consolidate support. Many strangers were supporting globally us, and it's important, of course. This is a way how we can resist these people. We are not afraid of them. We are transparent and we are consistent in our actions. We continue to inform Georgian people and do our professional work. Even their goal is to destroy our operation at home.
For other media managers in a political hostile environment, what are your lessons on balancing resistance and safety mission and survival?
Actually, media outlets are united right now, and we as a part of Media Coalition trying to support them professionally, provide them with assistance in terms of cybersecurity because they are experiencing cyber threat as well. And financial sustainability is crucial because right now it's not only the cutting of funds coming from US, but about how to receive funding in case of Georgia because of this restrictive legislation. And they will never allow to fund those media outlets who are independent and who are not controlled by government. This is their goal, to clean space from remaining independent institutions from Georgia, and the media plays crucial role here. Actually, the broadcast media is in very poor situation, I would say. Most of them are moving the individual journalists to YouTube channels because there are no sufficient financial sources, and government controls majority of most influential TV channels. We have unequal situation between opposition affiliated neutral media outlets and government affiliated media outlets. That's why they're trying to dominate public sphere, and even small media outlets are a threat for them.
What you have said, Tamar, gives us a picture that so many public interest media outlets are in the survival mode. But to thrive, that's really something different. What does thriving mean to you in this context?
In this context, this means that we should consolidate our efforts, civil society organizations, media outlets, in order to survive. It might be in case of freezing of accounts, moving outside of country that no one wants to do right now, because we have seen similar scenario in Russia, in Belarus, and many journalists in exile were in Georgia, living in Georgia for a long time. Georgia was safe space for them, which is not anymore. They are banned from entering the country. We need to act together in order to save what we achieved so far.
And what concrete strategies or decisions have helped the MDF to remain resilient, from funding to partnership, staffing, or digital tactics?
Actually, we combine different methods. Last year, we launched one organization in Estonia because Estonia is a member of EU and it's easy to register online there. Even I have never traveled to this country. And we also are working closely with our international partners to put pressure on the government uh, in response to this repressive legislation, and to be transparent in our actions. I think documenting and monitoring repressions in Georgia is most important. So we cooperate with international watchdogs in order to make our case. We file complaints to document everything, because the European Court of Human Rights should make decision on foreign agent law. Georgia is member of the Council of Europe. 2 years ago, we hope to become member of European Union when we all celebrated the EU candidate status, but unfortunately since then, our government abandoned their commitment to democracy, and they are undermining our membership to EU, which is a window of opportunity for Georgia. It's so pity to look back how we were developing all democratic institutions for a long time, coming closer to the European family, and now we are backsliding and copy pasting Russian legislation, and our government enforces Russian style practices, because it was in Russia when Transparency International was forbidden. And 2 days ago, they launched investigation against Transparency International Georgia, who does a lot of work in support of media outlets and investigation of corruption and abuse of power by government of Georgia.
Looking back, Tamar, were there any warning signs of the political turn in Georgia? And maybe if there was any, what would you say to media managers in other countries who see similar signs emerging?
Unfortunately, we see that similar legislation is initiated even in EU country, in Hungary, and it's like creeping authoritarianism. You think it does not concern you, but one day you are realizing that it might happen everywhere, because we were working with journalists in exile in Georgia, teaching them fact checking and other issues. Now they should teach us how to survive in hostile environment, because you never know what could happen. I think we need unity against these trends. And even in established democracy, we are observing alarming changes. it was difficult for me to imagine that I could ever support the Radio Liberty or Voice of America from their own government, but it is happening. That's why it's more difficult for us, because we are post-Soviet country without independent judiciary, but in established democracy, judiciary works. So we should share our experience with each other. We should learn from each other and develop better strategies in order to save democracy. Democracy is under attack everywhere, and unity, consistency, and monitoring this repression is something that we can do together. Online.
How do you handle the pressure of calling falsehoods where they often come from those in power? And can media still really act as a watchdog in an era of manipulated information?
Of course, media can act as a watchdog, but we should defend media. We should empower media outlets and protect individual journalists. First of all, we need to differentiate the trustful media, public interest media, from those who manipulate public opinion. That's why we need fact-checking, disinformation research, naming and shaming those who abuse democratic institutions like media against democracy, and create the environment where the public interest media can operate without barriers and obstacles, because they are those who are serving public interests, and media ecosystem needs rethinking its approaches and funding opportunities as well, because without funding, it's difficult to preserve what we need most of all in order to make informed decisions.
In that circumstance, Tamar, what role can independent media play in fighting back against information, especially during election seasons, and what are the limits?
Limits are related to operational challenges. It might be the legal barriers, like in case of Georgia, or funding opportunities. Powerful actors are controlling the media outlets, and they have more resources, because media is not only a platform for informing, but entertaining as well. And when you have concentration of the big TV channels, and TV is the main source of information in Georgia, it's difficult to compete. So we have unequal conditions for government-controlled media outlets and the smaller one who are under survival mode constantly. And donor assistance, even before, was more project-related, which makes operation also difficult in long-term, in terms of long-term sustainability. So I think there was some gap in understanding the needs for media development properly, and sometimes there were overlaps because of the project-related approach. Many trainings on the same topics, many funding on the same topics. Donor coordination is also important in order to address needs, real needs of media, and real-time needs as well.
What's your anticipation for Georgia's media space in the near future? Are there any signs of hope, or are we looking at a longer struggle?
The future of media depends on overall democratic situation in the country. It depends whether on survival or civil society actors and resilience of Georgian society. It's not clear right now, but public still continue protesting in the street in support of key civil society actors and against government decision to postpone our EU integration till 2028. Being member of EU means commitment to democratic reforms. That's why our government undermines this accession process, and that's why people are protesting, because there will be no other possibility in nearest future if this window is closed for Georgia, alongside Ukraine and Moldova, who are progressing and coming closer to EU membership, unlike the Georgia. So,
in the moments of democratic backsliding like this, what role do you think public interest media should play in sustaining democracy?
Public trust media informs society about issues that are not accessible on government-controlled channels. This is investigations about abuse of power. It's in-depth reporting about the issues of public interest. This is everything that is important for the democratic future of this country. Journalists who hold powerful people accountable, they are under threat because they are fulfilling their professional duty and they are serving public, not autocrats, not governments. It's not the duty of journalists to produce a story that please powerful those who are in power. That's why they are under attack, and government propaganda undermines trust in the independent media outlets as well. They are creating parallel institutions, their own fact-checking, their own media self-regulation bodies, because they don't like content created by independent media outlets and watchdogs.
Thank you, Tamar. You have done an incredible job in Georgia, not just for you, not just for journalism industry, but for the Georgian people. What gives you hope to keep going even when things feels like impossible?
Courage of my colleagues, dedication to their work, and the hope that Georgia will be part of European family, like our predecessors were hoping. We were fighting for this future for a long time. This is not momentum to abandon our dreams about the bright future of our country. Your words and your support encourages us not to abandon and to be on the fighting mode.
I love everything that you have just said, Tamal. But before we close, if you could speak directly to media managers who are facing their own challenges, what one piece of advice or encouragement you would want to leave them with?
Continue doing the good work you were doing for a long time, besides pressure coming from those who are in power. So power is in people. Information is a source of power. And I think our voices should be heard, and we should talk with public directly and not to change our editorial policy, irrespective who is in power. Information is needed for better and well-informed Georgian citizens.
Thank you so much, Tamar. I've learned a lot from you, and congratulations once again for the award. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. I wish you all the very best and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Survive and Thrive, the Media Viability Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and make sure to hit like so that other listeners can find us as well. For feedback, send an email to dw-academy.surviveandthrive@dw.com. You can find all the information in the show notes.